Hello, I'm Jenkins, and welcome to highlights of the 2011 Formula SimRacing World Championship. Round 7 of the championship is the crown jewel of Formula 1, the famous Monte Carlo street circuit. The Monaco track is incredibly tight and twisty, and this race will be one that every driver will be striving to finish. Being by far the most unforgiving circuit on the calendar, this track typically sees a very high rate of attrition. Qualifying produced a big surprise, with Patrick De Vit achieving pole position, repeating his effort from the same race 3 years ago. He was only faster than Speed's second World Championship pole, both coming from De Vit. Championship leader Bono Quiz qualified close behind in second, just ahead of Twister Racing's Frederick Nilsson. More surprises came in the top 10, with Reino Room qualifying in 4th ahead of Morgan Morand in 5th, and the NetRex driver Stephen Rule in 6th. Mikko Pumalainen set the 7th fastest time ahead of Aksel Kirchhoff in 8th. Too Fast for You team manager David Dominguez would start in 9th, with John-Eric Saxon rounding out the top 10. Marco Conti narrowly missed out on getting into the top 10, as did Rasmus Tali, who has now failed to make it past Q1 in 5 starts. Jack Keithley qualified 13th with GT Omega Racing, and the two Go Speed drivers of Paresis and Euler qualified in 14th and 15th place respectively. To the race start, and Patrick De Vit had a great launch off the line, easily keeping his first place into turn 1. Morand almost snuck up the inside of Nilsson and Marine, but lost traction on the exit. Pumalainen reacted by touching his brakes, but locked up and hit the barrier. With the cars now bunched heading up the hill, a spectacular collision occurred between Conti and Tali. Amazingly, the only driver caught up in the incident was Pumalainen, with the rest of the field managing to avoid the carnage. Conti retired with only 3 wheels, but Tali continued on, albeit with a great deal of damage to his car. Out of the tunnel, Morgan Morand pulled off an aggressive pass on Stephen Rule to take over 5th place. Perhaps distracted by the overtake, Rule clipped a small gap in the Armco, resulting in a massive crash, destroying his car and creating the worst pile-up in World Championship history. 8 cars were involved in the accident, with 4 drivers retiring. Dominguez, Euler, Rule and Saxon were all out of the race, with Pumalainen and Paresis forced to make pits for repairs. At the front, De Vit continued to lead the race ahead of Quiz and Nilsson. Reino Room and Morgan Morand were just managing to hold on to the back of the leading trio, and incredibly, Aksel Kirchhoff continued on in 6th place despite suffering significant damage in the lap 1 pileup. Jack Keithley was also struggling on, but he was forced to eventually retire after 5 laps with immense damage to his steering column. Despite starting from the back of the grid, Mohamed Patel now found himself up into 7th position, just ahead of Jaakko Mykkänen and Blair Disley. After a long pit stop for repairs, Mikko Pumalainen was now a lap down, but he eventually caught up to the back of Jaakko Mykkänen. Unfortunately, Pumalainen was caught off guard when Mykkänen pulled over to allow him to unlap himself, and the distraction caused Pumalainen to lock up and hit the barriers, ending his race. Still in the lead, it became apparent that Patrick De Vit was holding up Bono Quiz and Frederick Nilsson, and on lap 21, Quiz pitted for the first of 2 stops, with Nilsson following him in. Knowing the quick in-lap was crucial, De Vit pushed his car to the absolute limits, but unfortunately he scraped the wall on the exit of to back, causing minor damage to his car which would need to be repaired. Extra time in the pit lane meant that Quiz could easily take over the lead, with Frederick Nilsson right behind him. De Vit emerged in front of Morgan Morand and Aksel Kirchhoff, with Morand almost attempting a pass through the hairpin, but De Vit managed to keep it ahead in 3rd place. Reino Room's pit stop didn't go to plan either, with the Estonian missing his pit box, having to reverse and losing crucial seconds to Morand. As a result, the GT Omega driver lost out to both Morand and Aksel Kirchhoff, dropping him down into 6th position. However, Kirchhoff's race ended several laps later, with the Dutchman hitting the Armco at an awkward angle and crashing heavily into the barriers. The second set of stops made no difference to the running order. The Twister team brought in Nilsson first, with Precision immediately reacting, but Quiz comfortably remained in 1st place. Having spent the entire race at Quiz's rear wing, there was little Nilsson could do except hope for a mistake from the Dutchman. Reino Room and Mohamed Patel continued their lonely races in 5th and 6th place until a small lapse in concentration caused Patel to hit the wall at the back and lose his front wing. Forced to make an unscheduled stop, the ATR driver emerged from the pits in 7th place, 11 seconds behind Blair Disley, but a determined Patel didn't give up and pushed hard to close down the gap. On the penultimate lap, Patel caught up to the back of the Australian, and it was the veteran Disley who faltered on the exit of the harbour chicane, With a great run, Patel pulled off the impossible, sticking a pass through to back to retake his 6th position. Making it 7 from 7, the unstoppable Bonnequist became the first driver in the World Championship to win twice at the challenging Monte Carlo street circuit. Fredrik Nilsson finished less than half a second behind, showing once again that he's got the pace to beat the world champion. An ecstatic Patrick de Witt rounded off the top 3, achieving Fast and Speed's first podium in nearly 2 years. Morgan Moran finished in 4th place, less than a second behind de Witt. Reino Riem crossed the line in 5th, and Mohamed Patel finished in 6th place. Coincidentally, it was Moran's, Riem's and Patel's best ever results in a World Championship Grand Prix. Blair Disney finished in 7th ahead of Jaakko Mikkonen in 8th, who had only been able to complete limited testing due to technical difficulties. Jim Paresis was the last of the finishers, picking up his first points of the season. With a clean sweep, Bonnequist is now the equivalent of more than 3 race victories ahead on the points table. Fredrik Nilsson has jumped up into 2nd place with another great result, but Jaakko Mikkonen is close behind. Neither Greco, Kirchhoff, Pumelan and Tali or Saxon scored points this round, so remain in their respective positions. De Witt's podium pushed him inside the top 10 for the first time this season, just 2 points ahead of Bruno Marquez in 10th. Precision Motorsports have now hit the 250 point mark in the Constructors, with Twister Racing a long way behind. Neither Matt Corp or Netrex managed to score this round, and Too Fast View only managed to pick up 6 points. Much to everyone's surprise, it was the ATR Silverline team who picked up the 2nd highest number of constructor points, being beaten only by Bonnequist's victory. This has moved the team up into 6th place ahead of Aero F1. Faster Than Speed's podium have moved them up into 8th place in the table, and despite Reino Riem's great result, the GT Omega Racing team have dropped into 9th position. The next round will be the Canadian Grand Prix, and you can watch this race live as it happens. Simply go to www.psrtv.com on the 3rd of July at 5:30 PM GMT. We hope you've enjoyed today's highlights. I'm Liam Jenkins, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for round 8 of the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. Hello everybody and welcome to this Formula Sim Racing World Championship presentation. We are here for round 8 of the championship, and we're at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, where it's looking to be one hell of a race. If the last 2 races are anything to go by, then this is going to be probably one of the best races in World Championship history. And with me to call the action today is World Trophy driver Michael Gray. And what are you looking forward to in this race then?
Hopefully lots of overtaking. The World Trophy race provided lots of spectacles, lots of on-track battles and mistakes from drivers, so hopefully the World Championship will be the exact same.
Yeah, one of the most interesting points is that in both previous races, both the World Series and the World Trophy, the one thing to notice about the track is it takes a massive toll on the cars. A lot of the non-finishers didn't finish due to brake problems and overheating engines. So the drivers in the World Championship today are going to have to hopefully manage their tyres and their engines for as long as they can, because the last thing you want to do is end up retiring due to mechanical failure. So we have 37 seconds left of practice before we move into qualifying 1, in which everyone will try and duel their way for a top 10 position and to get into Q2, and then the rest of them will fight their way. It was a 5-minute session after that in Q2. It's a battle for that all-important pole position spot, which can be so vital into Turn 1 at a track like this.
Yes, and again, pole position is starting on the inside, so if P2 gets a very good start, they could jump around the outside of the pole man. So starting here is very crucial.
So we're moving to qualifying now then, and one man that is back in the paddock after a break and that everyone's excited and overwhelmed to see is Lee Morris. He's now driving for the Ash Aero F1 team, and I think everyone's going to be looking to see what he can do now in his new car. And He should be looking very quick. He's looked good earlier on in the weekend. But the question on everyone's mind is, though, is this going to be another Bono Ruiz dominance, or is someone finally going to knock that winning streak out of balance and stop him from taking the world record even further? But right now, Bono Ruiz is eager to set a lap time. Look, he's already making sure he's first out of the pit lane, as we see that every race, making sure he's got a clear track in front of him, no traffic or obstacles to stop him setting that ultimate lap time.
Yes, obviously having clean air is important for any driver in any motorsport series, in NASCAR, Formula 1, even GP2, and it's also important, but the guy behind would also get the benefit of the slipstream, and that will hopefully increase his lap time and try and at least get pole position. But also the downside is your engine gets very hot, and you'll need to pull out every now and then and cool down your engine, as we see one of the drivers revving to get their tires up to get their optimal tire temperature.
Yeah, no, so talking of traffic, going through that final chicane, it's around 3 or 4 cars in a row, just all around a couple car lengths apart, so this could be crucial if one of them makes a mistake, because the last thing you want to be doing is following a car that is going to make a mistake or put a foot wrong and cost you badly in lap time. But big question, I think, is for this qualifying session is how close are Twister to position. We've seen over the course of the season that gradually they have got a lot closer, but how close is the gap this weekend? And if not, maybe even better, because we saw in the World Series that position weren't looking as strong as they normally are, although they did pull it back for a fantastic result from Jeffrey Ritveld. But so only time will tell. We've got 8 minutes left. A number of guys on a lap at the moment, but the main guy on track who's about to finish, he's coming now through Casino Hairpin, is Bono Ruiz. Let's see what this young man can do then.
Coming down the final backstretch, going into the chicane, you want to get a very good exit and hopefully not take too much curb and force you into the wall of champions, which he does very, very nicely. He comes across the line. It's a 1 minute 13.2, and
that's
I believe
0.5 seconds quicker than DeVitt. David Greco just does a 1:13.3, so that's 0.1 off of Bono Ruiz at the moment. The times come flooding in now. It's impossible to keep up with all of them. Reino Room goes into 4th. Frederick Nilsson in 3rd with a 1:13.4. Departs for the track once again. He's 0.2 off of Bono Ruiz at the moment, but that's a really good lap there by David Greco. Lee Morris is up to a P6 in the Ash Aero F1.
It looks like Patrick DeVitt is sitting in 7th, so let's also keep a good eye out on DeVitt. Last round's pole sitter. You never know what he can bring in, and Jarkko Mikkonen takes 2nd place to make it a position 1-2 in qualifying 1.
Well, Mikko Piimalainen just splits it, but of course that's a precision-powered Mack Corp racing car, so right now position looking fairly dominant in the early stages of this qualifying session. And of course you have to remember Atse Kirchhoff from Twister will start from the back of the grid, I believe, so he won't be taking part in qualifying. So that leaves it all up to Frederick Nilsson and to try and split the 2 Precision Motorsports cars. I think he's on a lap at the moment, or he's about to come up to start one. No, he's about to come up to start one, so let's see what he can do then. He's looking fairly comfortable in the Twister. It's looking a lot more comfortable compared to how it was at the very start of the season. Hopefully everything will go to plan. You can see there are a bit of skid marks on the exit of turn 2 where someone's obviously had a bit of a moment. So let's take a ride on board then with Frederick Nilsson and see what he can do. He's looking pretty good at the moment. He's just gently brushing the apex. He's not bouncing over them. He's not wrestling the car and trying drag it round. He's really at one with the car. You can just see him, he's just kind of pushing it ever so gently round, but with enough force to just put in a decent lap time. He's looking really comfortable right now.
Yes, setup is all important here, so you don't ride the curbs that much, especially in the chicanes, because just one slip up, you'll ruin your qualifying practice or your race big time, as Nelson comes around the final chicane onto the start finish straight. Let's see if it's good enough for pole. So 113.2, and he takes 5th place.
So right now the smallest gap between Monaquis and Mika Pimai is 0.050, so half a tenth of a second, which is barely any time at all, but it's enough to separate first and second position, and the gap between first place and 16th place is less than a second, so the guys looking very evenly matched in Q1, but with 4 minutes left then, the guys that could face a bit of oh, and there's Ala Fort there, who had a bit of a moment into the wall. Of course, GT Omega sporting a new black livery, which looks very nice. But so the guys on the border then, which may be in the drop zone at the moment, are really anyone from around the Renault Room downwards could be under a bit of pressure from Canitz, Lucas Euler, or Jim Parisis, as they're all looking to set some very competitive laps. Pedro Melim, P15, will be looking to go through, as would Rasmus Tali and Dennis Hurl. Of course, Dennis Hurl knows what it's like to conquer this track. He's a previous world champion, so he knows what it takes to try and bring the car home and take it to Q2, but let's see if he can do it. He's on a lap at the moment, or he's about to start a lap in a minute.
Oh, he gets out of shape going into the final start-finish stretch, and he comes across the line to begin his lap. Turn 1, it's literally a braking zone for turn 2, which comes straight right after into your face. Quick short shoot down into turn 3 and 4. Very quick chicane. Get up very close on the exit to the wall. Very fast kink. And he's faster in turn sector 1 by 0.043. So this might be good enough for pole position.
Well, only time will tell, as he approaches now up to the world famous casino hairpin. Obviously renowned for when Robert Kubica had his major incident back here in 2007 in Formula 1. But Dennis Hurl does nothing near the sort of repeating that, and now brings his car home. Listen to the Netrex Grand Prix engine. It's just sounds so lush as he's bringing that down the penultimate straight. Flat out now, he's just pedal flat down, nowhere near the brake pedal, and then slams it down towards that final chicane. Careful not to jump over the curves. Bit of a twitch on the exit there as well, but let's see what this does to his position at the moment. He moves well up the field. In fact, to around where is
goes
it?
into ninth
P9.
place.
Yeah, so that's a great lap there for Dennis Hurl. He's broke the top 10 mark, and that means that Ala Fort in the GT Omega is now under pressure. He's in P11, and he's around 0.08 seconds away from Morgan Moran in P10. So can he try and knock him down? It's all going to be scrambling there towards the end of Q1 to try and get the car home safely in towards Q2. But one man who's definitely safe now is Frederick Nilsson. He just did a 113.069, which has beaten Bonaquis' best by quite a margin, actually, over a tenth of a second. Separate now Precision and Twister, so it's looking pretty good now for Frederick Nilsson. We said he looked comfortable earlier, and that's obviously showing after that lap time.
Yes, fastest lap in Q1. I'm quite surprised. I mean, well, these are the best of the best in the world, and nothing short of expectations. Set fastest laps every time, and fantastic lap. But I have a feeling that no one will be able to beat it.
So he was on the lap then. We've got 33 seconds remaining to decipher who the top 10 drivers will be. It's Morgan Moran who's the man on the bubble at the moment. He's on track. He wants to try and get another time in. I'm not sure if he's got enough time, really. He's got around 18 seconds to get to the line. That's not going to happen. But he's on the bubble. He's got John Eric Saxon just behind him at the moment. 0.12 away, I believe. Something in that region.
Yep, and Morgan Moran won't make it, but I believe he's on a flyer. And Dennis Hill is also on a flyer, so he managed to get across the line before the timer finished. But let's see what Morgan Moran does first. Crosses the line, and it's a...
Goes
he
up
moves
to
up into
ninth.
ninth.
Which puts previous world champion Dennis Hurl on the benchmark then. A 1:13.5 is the time to beat if you want to get inside the top 10, but Dennis Hurl is on a lap at the moment, so he does have a chance. He's got one shot now to try and make it into Q2. What can this man do? He's extremely talented, but is he talented enough to try and bring the car home into Q2 and bring Netrex Grand Prix? Another Q2 of the season. Let's see. I'm going to have to wait and find out. Oh, and he spins!
Oh!
That's a horrible accident.
Out of shape in the final chicane. He must have been really pushing, wanting to get a very good qualifying one lap time in the final few moments, but obviously just losing that bit of concentration, too much power, and losing traction.
And he's also just been pipped out of the top 10 now. Morgan Moran is your man in 10th position. I don't think anyone else is on a lap at the moment, but that's a very peculiar incident. But that's how easy it can happen, though, at the end of the day. Well, Pedro Melim's on a lap, so he could be the man. He's P14 at the moment. Well, he's in the pits now, so I guess that rounds out the runners then for Q1. Well, it's Frederick Nilsson who's taken the fight to Bono Huis. 0.184 seconds quicker than the Flying Dutchman, as he's been called.
Yep, and following Bono Huis is Mikko Pumalainen in the Mack Corp Racing in 3rd place, followed by Jarkko Mikkonen in the sister car of Bono Huis. Reino Room in 5th place for GT Omega. Previous round pole sitter Patrick de Rit in 6th place. So he's gotten into Q2. Let's see how he does. Can he repeat his performance in the previous round for pole position, or will he be happy for any top 10 position?
Well, I'll tell you what, though, over the course of the season, Patrick de Vet has shown some amazing qualifying pace. Qualifying, I think it was 2nd in Turkey. It may have been Turkey, I'm not too sure, but he's shown some real pace, and he's been scoring some great points positions for faster than speed. So we have a 5-minute session now to try and decipher who will be the man sitting on that pole position spot. The guys have 1 lap to do so, and one man who's through to Q3 on his return to Formula Sim Racing is Lee Morris, so that's a good lap by him to get himself there. And Reino Room up into P5 in the GT Omega Racing team. That's a good lap for him as well. That's a confidence booster to be fighting up there with the 2 positions and twisters.
Yep, and first man out on track for Q2 is Bono Huis again. Can he take pole position? Maybe, maybe not. He could do a mistake. Pressure is on him.
You've seen that before.
Yes, he's pushing to extend his brand new world record, I believe, for most race wins in the series.
Yeah, and of course, but he isn't invulnerable. He isn't an alien or a robot. He is human. We found that out during a qualifying lap a few weeks back, when he indeed made one mistake which cost him, but he still ended up winning the race. So a great fallback there from Huis, and that really was a champion's drive, and he'll be looking to repeat a drive of the same nature today as he starts his qualifying lap now, and he's moving on towards sector 2. We'll see what his first sector time is very shortly as he crosses the line about now. He's got a clean track in front of him as well. There's not actually a lot of guys on track. There's 3 guys who are on hot laps at the moment. That's Huis, Pumalainen and Morgan Moran, who's following Bonaquist in the ATR Silverline, who have looked very, very competitive during both previous series.
Yes, and I believe, if I remember, back in the World Trophy, it was one Silverline still surviving. So let's see, can Silverline get both cars to the finish in the World Championship? We do not know, as we have Bonaquist across the line.
Let's see what he can do then. He does a 1:13.7, so that's the benchmark time at the moment. Will that be good enough for pole position? We'll find out in 2 minutes 21 seconds when the session ends. And Morgan Moran does a 1:14.9, so that's around 2 seconds away. That's 1.1 seconds away from Bonaquist. Let's see what Mikko Pumalainen can do. He's coming through the final chicane now in the Matt Corp racing. Let's see what he can do. Oh, he betters him. He's beaten Bonaquist at 1:13.765, and that's a stormer of a lap. 0.015 quicker, and let's see what Jaakko Mikkonen can do as he's about to start his lap. The only other man on the lap at the moment is Rasmus Tali, who sneaked himself into the top 10 there.
Yes, Rasmus Tali coming into the final chicane. I believe he has eyes set on that wonderful pole position, but is it quick enough? I don't think so. No, it's not. He gets a 1:14.7, puts him into third place, pipping Morgan Moran down into fourth.
Well, there's a few more guys on laps now. Jaakko Mikkonen in the position is on a lap. Flying Finn is definitely flying at the moment. He's looking very quick in that precision car. And will he be the man to take provisional pole position away from Matt Corp driver Mikko Pumalainen? Only time will tell as he approaches a casino hairpin. Brakes heavily, holds the inside line very well there. Great driving by Jaakko Mikkonen. 39 seconds left, and the remainder of the field are on laps. But let's see what Mikkonen can do. So Mikkonen comes across the line after a very tidy final couple of corners. Jaakko Mikkonen in the Precision Motorsports goes third behind his teammate. He is close to finishing a lap then. Probably Fredrik Nilsson now as he comes up towards the final chicane. This is the man that beat Bonaquist in Q1. Can he take pole position for Twister today? We're about to find out as he crosses the line. And or has he just started his lap? Hang on, I can't.
No.
Oh, there he goes fourth. I mean, I couldn't see him on the standings there for a moment. So let's see what Lee Morris can do in the Ashera F1. His debut back in FSR. Let's see what kind of impact he'll have. And he goes fifth. Rainer Room crossing the line in GT Omega. And goes sixth just behind him. So it's just Patrick DeWitt and David Greco left. David Greco comes across the line now. Up into fourth. That's a good lap for the Too Fast For You driver. So all eyes go on to Patrick DeWitt. We've seen this before. Last man out on track. And he's set pole position here in Monaco. Is he going to do it again in Montreal? We're about to find out as he approaches the final chicane. I'm not sure if this is going to be quick enough. Well,
yes, Patrick DeWitt has did a pretty slow, clean lap, takes 8th place.
So that means that Mikko Pumalainen in the Matt Corp is your pole sitter then for the Monaco Grand Prix. No, Montreal Grand Prix, I beg your pardon. So that's a great result for Matt Corp, a nice confidence boost for them, and behind them is a charging Bonaquist and Jaakko Mikkonen. And then Lee Morris in 6th, Fredrik Nilsson 5th, David Greco is in 4th, Patrick DeWitt is in 8th, with Rainer Room just in front of him, Rasmus Tali 9th, and Morgan Moran 10th, as we move towards the warm-up session.
And Bonaquist once again gets a lightning start off pit road.
Yeah, he obviously likes to try making sure he has a clear track, and we've just received that information from the race director that due to the pit lane having a significant advantage if you can cut the white line, every driver that does cut the white line will have a 5-second time penalty added to their time at the end of the race, which can really change about, up to 4 or 5 positions if you cut it, more than once, if you make a couple stops. So a key thing here then we've seen in both previous races is strategy, either 1 stops or 2 stops. Who do you expect to be 1 stopping then today?
I would probably say Lee Morris would probably make an attempt to make a 1-stopper. Starting 6th, he wants to try and make the jump on everyone in front of him. And also Patrick DeWitt, you never know. But it also depends on what tyres they qualified on. They could have qualified on hards, which means they probably could go literally to the halfway mark.
Yeah, well, it's all going to become apparent as we have 8 minutes until the race start here in Canada. And everyone's taking to the track now to get those final preparations on the car. So what do you do during a warm-up session then here, a traditional warm-up session in FSR? What does it involve?
Getting used to the actual weight of the car with all your fuel loads, making final adjustments to your setup, increase the radiator or brakes, brake ducts so you don't lose your engine or your brake system blows up, as seen what happened in the World Trophy with many drivers retiring over brakes, and just making sure that you have enough downforce to make the corners at speed, but also have them low enough so you're fast on the straights.
So guys have set a couple of lap times now. It's Atsay Kirchhoff that's leading the charge. He's done a 1:16.511. He's in front of Bono Quis by 0.126 seconds, so he's currently fastest. Pedro Mellin goes 3rd and Moran goes 4th. And all the times all of a sudden come flooding in. The cars fly across the line.
Yep, everyone out on their warm-up laps getting used to their weight. And Pedro Mellin is in 3rd place, and so he must be running pretty light, or no, not pretty light, with a bit harder tyres. So I think the top guys are running around mediums, medium tyres, or could possibly softs, going for a free stop.
Scaring me.
Listening to those fantastic engines roar. Apparently I saw on my HUD, Frederick Nilsson set a fast sector one time, I believe. Where is he? He's Frederick Nilsson coming down into the casino hairpin. Sets a fast sector too. So he could be running on light tires, on soft tires as well. And Atsay Kirchhoff is right behind him. I believe on a lap as well. Yes, he is. No, he's not. And I believe Nilsson takes 2nd place. And sorry for the long period of mostly silence. My co-commentator is having connection issues, so Let's hope he gets them sorted
You hear
out.
me, yeah?
And Remiko Pumalainen coming down the final straight. Going through the final chicane. Nice and bump. World champions on your right. You want to make sure that you don't hit him. If you do, you'll be considered a champion at Montreal, but not with your team, I believe. And many cars on track going down the final, the penultimate straight. David Hill goes into the bits, and Patrick DeWitt makes a small mistake.
Right, so sorry there, I've just encountered some technical difficulties again, unfortunately, but so we're back into the warm-up session now. We're just getting ready to go to the formation lap, in which Mika Pumalainen will lead the field away to warm his tyres and brakes and the engine, make sure everything's absolutely perfect for that run into turn one, and they'll be thinking about how they're going to take the line, who they're going to turn over to. These guys know each other so well. And it's just going to be a matter of who's the bravest going into turn one.
Yep, and also the other thing that you need to be careful on is who you're going to trip over. Because if something happens at the front, it will accordion through to the back, and anything can happen. So you also need to worry about major shunts and in the first corner, but these guys are the professionals. They know on when to push.
Yeah, and we've seen though in the two races during the rest of this weekend that it's been such a major factor of bravery into the corners and being committed to a move. And if you're not committed, you will end up just tapping your opponent, perhaps causing some minor aerodynamic damage to your car. And, well, it can be costly. It can cost you an exit stop or perhaps an extra couple or even a DNF. So if you're going to make a move, you have to be 100% committed to it. You can't go in not knowing what the outcome's going to be. You have to see the move before you make it and then visualise how you're going to take the corner and how he's going to take it and try and make that decision happen. And, well, that's just going to play a big part in this race, I think, just as much as anything else. But we have 1 minute 20 seconds left, and it's Atsakov and Frederick Nilsson who actually outpace the two positions. But the thing is as well, Atsakov starting from the rear end of the grid, who's going to have to try and fight his way up through the field to score some points. And it's going to be a long old climb. He's got some very feisty drivers in front of him. He won't want to give away their positions very easily. It's a 19-car field, which has 9 cars to sit between Atse and a points finish. So he's going to have his work cut out for him. 70 laps of Montreal are about to get underway here in around 40 seconds. Yeah,
20 seconds until race. The cars line up onto the grid, and then, as Liam mentioned, they will be warming up their tires and brakes and their engines, so it's at the optimal temperature. And it also depends on how quick everyone goes through the formation lap, because
Attention, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And as you get confirmation that we're about to start, sitting on pole with the car still lining up will feel like an eternity.
Yeah, but that'll just give them time as their hearts will start racing to try and get themselves in a zone which probably none of us can relate to, where they're 100% focused on the track and how they're going to approach turn 1. Nothing else will go through their minds except motor racing. And that's how they're going to be feeling now as Pumalainen leads the field away on the warm-up lap. He's got Bono Huis behind him. These two know each other very, very well. Of course, both driving precision powered cars, and so they're going to know how each other attack and defend corners. So it's going to be up to Bono Huis to try and catch out Mikko Pumalainen and perhaps try and put a move on him into turn 1. But I'm not sure if... I can't really predict the outcome of this race, considering all the calamities and excitement which has happened through the earlier races. I think it's going to be very, very hard to predict the winner here, but chances are, from earlier statistics, you'd have to try and put your bet on Bono Huis.
Yep, as I believe they say, into the corner first generally means that you are going to win the race unless something happens. And also, Bono Huis also needs to worry about his teammates done right behind him. I believe Jarkko Mikkonen will be fast as the drivers weave around on the long backstretch, just keep engines nicely around 16,000 RPM. Not too fast below, because then you'll cause the accordion effect on the formation lap, which we do not want, as Mikko Pumalainen comes around the final chicane to take his grid slot in pole position, and his heart will most likely be racing.
Well, just like this race, we'll be racing in a minute. The drivers will be lined up on the grid, getting ready for this race, and they will all be staring at those 5 lights, making sure that they get away exactly as soon as possible. It's all about reactions now off the line, and their foots will be literally just stayed right, literally about an inch above the throttle, just waiting to stamp down and get that engine as quick as possible up through the gears and try and make it into turn 1 as clean as possible. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights now, and we're racing in Montreal, and it's Mikko Pumalainen. He's had a good start, but look at Mikkonen, he's trying to have a look at Bono Huis into turn 1, and that's David Greco gone right round the outside of Mikkonen, and he's got the inside line for the next corner. He's in a precision sandwich, and he's a bit of an opposite lock there, but it seems like everyone through the field is through okay.
Yep, bit of slight locking up into the chicane, and I see a spin.
Oh,
It was Kennets. Kennets was spun going into the chicane.
So let's see what Bono Huis can do. Then he's at the front in P2 at the moment, trying to follow Jarkko Mikkonen, and I think we could maybe even see a move going into that long final straight in towards the chicane. They go up towards Casino Square hairpin now. And look at Reino Room, P11. He's fighting with John-Eric Saxon, goes right up the inside of Casino. That's very daring move. You have to hold your ground if you're trying to make it, and he's done it. A successful move there for Reino Room. He touches the grass, and that may give John-Eric Saxon a little bit of a run back, but he's too far behind. So, and look at Bono Huis into the chicane. He's made the move. That's an amazing move.
Fantastic, just like in the World Trophy race. We have a overtake at the chicane. Very daring from Bono Huis, especially on that one. He really wants to increase his world record to 8 wins in a row. But he still has Mikko Pumalainen behind him, and behind him is David Greco.
Yeah, and as Reino Room spun, that looked like it was Reino Room is in a bit of trouble further back down the field. Or it was one of the GTA Mega cars. I think it was probably Reino Room. He's got it back going again now. So both GTA Megas down in 15th and 17th place, not the way they wanted to start the Grand Prix. And Giuseppe Marconi becomes our first DNF of the day.
And looking at the
David
replay,
Greco having a look at Mikko Pumalainen. Sorry to interrupt you there, but down the straight, the too fast for you twister has opened up for Mikko Pumalanen's smack. It's a drag race into that lane. He may have made it sick. He's got behind him, but he's swooped round the outside and made it past. So 2 laps in 2 2 times through those corner, and Mikko Piemelainen has lost out 2 times in a row. And look at Mikkonen now. Going to have a look into turn 1. He's gone up the inside, and ooh, but Piemelainen to hold the ground.
Very small contact.
He doesn't want to let another position slide to him, but I think he might have to. That's a much faster precision. What a move there! That's fantastic. Through turn 3 and 4, that was actually brilliant. That was such a see cars over through that slim margin of road you have, and that was a very daring move there by Matt Corp driver Mikko Piemelainen, showing exactly why he was on pole position. So
yep,
run through
and we have Ala Ford in the pits.
So Bonoqui's lead is 1.2 seconds clear from David Greco now. Jaakko Mikkonen's in 3rd and pressuring, we should imagine. Piemelainen's down in 4th. He's might make him under a bit of pressure from Fredrik Nilsson soon. Patrick de Witt 6th after a Lee Morris 7th, Tarley 8th, Morgan Moran 9th and Saxon 10th. Dennis Howe has got himself up into 11th. Pedro Melim and Jim Parisis are 12th and 13th. Kirchhoff's got himself up to 14th after a good start. 15th is Room Disley 16th. 17th Lucas Euler and 18th Stefan. 19th is Alafort in the GT Omega Racing team. But back up front, it's Bono Huis, 1.3 seconds clear of David Greco, and just fastest lap last time round, so he's on a charge automatically again here. Nothing out of the ordinary for Bono Huis. He knows how to win these races. He's won 7 of them already this season here in Formula 1. And let's look at the train that's going on here as Lucas Euler does the fastest lap in the go speed. That was unexpected. 1:16.516. That's a very quick time by the 17th place man, but I guess he's been in the pits and changed his tyres or something of the sort. But there is a nice train of fairly spaced out cars between Lee Morris, Patrick de Witt and Fredrik Nilsson. And Morris may even fancy a look at de Witt there. He was a bit too far away, but he'll surely go for the slipstream move.
Which he is in, and he's gaining. He's gaining a lot of time in the
Ashero F1. So it's Ashero F1 versus Fast and Speed into the chicane, and de Witt's not going to let that go. What defending there by de Witt? That was supreme. Most drivers there would have backed out, but the courage of de Witt managed to hold him off, but not for too long as Morris comes steaming up the inside of turn 1, and I think he may just clip position, and he does so. So Lee Morris up to P6 for the moment, but that was some great defending there by de Witt, but even more better attacking by Lee Morris.
Yes, and looks like Patrick de Witt is gonna. No, he's not. He's losing ground.
Yeah,
so
he's got Rasmus
like
Tarley sacked up right behind him. 3 cars there, possibly 4 if Morgan Moran can catch onto the back of it.
And I think I just saw Lee Morris locking up, going into the turn 5-6 chicane.
So we're on lap 5 out of 70 as de Witt had a bit of a slide there on the exit of turn 9, I believe, up towards Casino Hairpin. And de Witt's not too happy about Morris passing him. Morris on his debut, it seems like he's never been away making passes just like he did before here in Formula Sim Racing. And Rasmus Tar's trying to catch Patrick de Witt down the straight. He's gaining time. I don't think he's got a move though, has he? No, he sent him.
No, he wasn't close. He wasn't close enough. And Patrick de Witt gets a big
major
slide.
moment. He did well to save the car, but he had a major moment, and that has let the Estonian of Rasmus Tarly through, and de Witt can't come back from that. Again, we just saw champions all really can, if you don't pay enough concentration, can cause you to have a major slide. And if it wasn't for de Witt's quick reactions, he probably would have lost the car in the barrier. So de Witt down into 8th position now.
But he's still on the tail of Rasmus Tarly, which is going to be a fantastic battle if these guys are going to go at it all race. Morgan Moran is right behind him. I believe he's slowly catching him thanks to the draft. But, oh my, wow. De Witt is slowly catching Tarly, I believe. Yes, he is.
So we could
but
see
he's
him
not
move
close enough.
onto the penultimate straight. I don't think he's going to be close enough in the chicane, although he does open out with some clean air, and it's a big twitch. Lucky to keep it out of contact there and to lock the brakes slightly, as we see Atsej Kirchhoff move up into P12 after overtaking Pedro Melim, who might come back at him here. Pedro Melim's in the slipstream in the Netrex Grand Prix. He's looking good.
Pulls up on the inside.
It's Twister versus and I'm not sure he's got enough. He lets that one go, and sensibly done as well.
And we have Paresis attacking Pedro Mellon. Going into turn 1, he pulls back in, but he decides to think better of it. As we have still 70 laps of racing, make that 64 laps of racing remaining, and these guys are just keeping their heads all together.
And we've only seen one result so far as well, which is pretty good after the excitement and all the calamities that went on during those opening laps. It was a fiery start to the Canadian Grand Prix, as the cars all seem to separate out now, and Huis has only got a 1 second gap over David Greco, who is still taking the fight to him. He's not letting Huis run away with this by any means of the imagination, and he's only 1.1 behind in the Too Fast For You Twister, and if they could achieve a second place, that would be a superb result.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I just saw David Greco slowly catching Huis on the front stretch, so maybe Huis is packing a bit more downforce for the corners. And I think I just saw Pumalainen locking up his brakes going into turn 1.
And let's look at Ade Kirchhoff then. He's following Dennis Howe at the moment. The other Dutchman, he started way back at the rear of the field due to a penalty. He's now out to 12th and hounding the back of that NetRex Grand Prix car. He's in a NetRex sandwich at the moment with Pedro Mellon behind him. But got to say, he's in a fantastic twist. A big lock up there. It looked like by John Ericsson in front.
And Kirchhoff gets a big twitch, manages to keep it all together.
Yeah, as we say, setup's a big thing, and if they're running a very low downforce setup, these guys are going to be losing a lot of downforce anyway, so they're going to be a big sliding around the track when in dirty air as well. But look at the train of cars in front of Dennis Howe and Kirchhoff as they all go down the penultimate straight. De Wit is still on the back of Rasmus Tali. Let's see if he can perhaps put him in. I think he's still too far. He's not letting him run away though.
Yeah, I believe 1.5 car lengths behind Tali. The slipstream is obviously helping him, but I don't think he just has the speed to catch up yet. He's not close enough in his slipstream to have it catch up, but he gets very close, and Tali gets small wheel spin coming out of turn 2.
And this is what Patrick De Wit needs to do, just stay with the Tali, not make him move, but just put a lot of pressure on him, put him into a bag corner, can make a mistake. That's the only way you're going to get past him in this kind of situation. Just stay on the back of him, keep the pressure on, and wait for him to make a mistake. These two are just going to be trying waiting for each other to see who puts the foot wrong first. Meanwhile, Fredrik Nilsson's following the other Matt Corp driver, Mikko Pumalainen. So your top 10 at the moment then, it's Bono Huis who leads from David Greco, 1.4 seconds behind, and then Jaakko Mikkonen. Mikko Pumalainen is in 4th place. Nilsson is 5th, Lee Morris 6th, De Wit 7th, Tali 7th, pardon, De Wit 8th, Morgan Moran 9th, and John Eric Saxon is in 10th place at the moment.
And slowly catching Morgan Moran. This is just very, very tight. And I'd say Kirchhoff nearly going into the World of Champions, but very good to lift off the throttle and let the car regain its handling capabilities.
Yeah, and he's got past Dennis Howe as well. So next on his hit list is John Eric Saxon in the Ash Aero F1 team. He's Lee Morris's teammate. Of course, Lee Morris making his debut here, and he's done in style as well. He's in P6 at the moment, so it's a very high points finish for him if he can keep it at the moment.
Yep, and going back to Patrick De Wit and Rasmus Tali, I believe, from what it looks like, Tali has made a slight slide somewhere, and De Wit is capitalising on that by closing up on him.
Yeah, but they're also catching Lee Morris as well, as Tali had a bit of another lock-up in towards Casino Hairpin. So De Wit is hounding Tali and making him make minor mistakes, and Morris is in the distance as well in the Ash Aero F1. But can DeVitt just find enough speed in the faster than speed car to put a move on the Mac Corp of Rasmus Tali. Only time will tell as they go once again through the final.
And we've had our third retirement. And we've had our third retirement. David Greco in second place. We gets a DNF.
So I'm not even too sure what happened there, unless it was just a disconnection issue. It didn't look like he was in any trouble.
Yep, well now Bono Rees has a nice comfortable 2-second gap from his teammate. It's a Precision Motorsports 1-2. Can they keep it there for the rest of the race? Maybe, maybe not.
But that's given Quee some breathing room there, as you say. He's 2 seconds clear of Mikko Mikkonen, I beg your pardon, as Piemelainen getting a bit hounded now by Frederick Nilsson. And DeVitt on Tali, he's right on the back of that bumper. He's hounding the gearbox of the Estonian. Let's see what Patrick DeVitt can do then. Down this back stretch. He's got plenty of time to pick up a slipstream. Can DeVitt do it? About to find out. I still think he's a bit too far away, and there's a move behind him. That's Morgan Moran coming under a bit of pressure from John-Eric Saxon.
Misses the chicane, nearly hitting the tyre barriers.
Kirchhoff's gone. Kirchhoff's spun. He's got it back going again, but he's down to 12th now. And Pedro Melim almost has a Blair Dizzy, beg your pardon, almost has a mirror incident. So not too sure what happened now with Kirchhoff. He just goes over the chicane again and just slides it on the exit of the Champions Wall. And well, he's kept it going, but that's not going to help his confidence in that corner. And
I believe what happened was the chicane cut off John-Eric Saxon. I think that surprised Arte Kirchhoff and caused him to spin going into the final through the chicane.
Quite possibly, but back in 10th and 11th, Dennis Ho and Pedro Melim, the two Netrex teammates, dueling over P10 at the moment, as John-Eric Saxon seems to escape into the distance. So plenty of drama already here in the Canadian Grand Prix, and we've barely even started. We've only done 11 laps. Let's see if Dennis Howe can put a move on his teammate then.
No, he thinks better of it.
DeVitt losing a bit of time to Rasmus Tali now as well. So he's under pressure for Morgan Moran a bit.
And the gap between Bono Rees and Mikkonen is now at 3.2 seconds, so I believe Rees is just slowly eking out the gap.
And Rainer Room is out of the race with a suspension problem. I'm not sure if there was I'll just check now. There could have been an incident, but Rainer Room is out of the race in the GT Omega, and his teammate is currently in 16th place, Alain Lafort.
Also having a pit stop after, I believe, losing his front wing.
Look at the train of cars all coming down the penultimate straight now. So many of them. There's literally quite an elongated train, a few seconds covering them. But there's quite a few cars, and Ase Kirchhoff, you see in the background there as John-Eric Saxon crosses the line. He just slowly top back now on lap of the race, so 1:16.333. So Kirchhoff is on a charge. He obviously wants to push on and score some points. He's P12. He's got both Netrex cars to try and push on and overtake, and he's going the right way about it.
Yep, and Blair Disley is still behind Kirchhoff, I believe, catching him slowly, but he also needs to be careful of tyre wear because and brakes, because Montreal is renowned as the brakes breaker, and Morgan Moran is not close enough as Patrick DeWitt makes a big lockup going into Casino hairpin. So I believe Morgan Moran is going to get the slipstream. Does he go? He has the time. He's on the final straight now. He's catching him.
He opens up, ducks back in, gets some clean air in that gearbox of the ATR Silverline. And again, De Wit slides on the exit of Champions Wall. So he's driving very aggressive, but you can see the pressure may be getting now to Patrick De Wit slightly.
Or maybe his rear tyres are now worn with all the sliding that he's been doing. Because obviously, yes, sliding does look good, but they really degrade your tyres big time, and you don't want that happening here at Montreal, especially when you're sitting in 7th place.
Back up front then, it's free to lead in from Meekinen. Pumalainen is third. Still under a bit of pressure from Nilsson though, but starting to fade away a bit now. And then P5, Morris due to David Timon. It's going better for Lee Morris, and he's starting to catch now Fredrik Nilsson and Mikko Pumalainen, and we haven't spoke much about that. He's only around 3 seconds away from that battle.
Yes, the thing Lee Morris is hoping for that is that Mikko Pumalainen and Jarkko Mikkonen starts battling very soon, because they get the slowdown small penalty that they get when you're battling with each other. So the guys behind catch up very, very easily. And Fredrik Nilsson is still closing up, but not close enough to make a pass. And Morgan Moran has gone past Patrick De Wit.
So I'm not too sure when this happened, but De Wit is still hot on the tail of the Silverline.
Bit of caution going through that the turn 7 and 8 chicane, coming up to the casino hairpin once again, gaining under braking but losing it under throttle, because the car in front, they have the split second of putting their foot down, and I believe, yes, De Wit is in the draft, but he's not close enough to make the move.
No, and he lost the place there last time, and then of course Moran had to defend it into turn 1 and did so successfully. The two next drivers still jostling away edition, but that's a Kirkos Twister Racing in the background.
Yep, with a small comfy lead from Blair Disley. And I think Patrick De Wit is closing up on the corners, but he's losing them on the losing the time that he gained on Moran on the straights. So maybe De Wit is, I believe I mentioned this before, is running a bit of a higher ring setting as they come around the casino's hairpin for the 17th time.
So still the train of 3 at the front though, of Meekin and Pumalainen and Nilsson, reasonably 2 seconds of one another. But I'm sure the pit stops will change that as we get ever closer to the first round of pit stops here at Montreal. And that pit lane's very tricky. It comes out directly into a corner, and if you're get released into traffic as well, it's not exactly the most forgiving corner to get released into.
Yes, as we saw in the World Trophy, I believe it was, I can't remember who, but they just managed to get in front of a train of cars that was very rapidly closing in on him. And being on fresher tyres, he was pulling away very nicely. And the question is, out of these guys, who is going to blink first?
Yep, and Jim Parisis is out of the race. He was on the exit of turn 2, lost the rear end of the car and slammed go speed into the barrier, stalling the engine and losing the front wing. So Parisis out of the Grand Prix, unfortunately. He was looking good, so he becomes our 4th retirement of the day then, I believe. Or 5th.
Yep, our 4th retirement of the day, and our 4th moves back up into 15th place. Lucas Euler is closing up on Blair Disley.
Dennis Hurl's the first man to break into the pit stop, and he's overshot his pit box, it looked like.
Yes, that is gonna cost Hurl big time. Missing your pit box is not a good thing, especially when they have to push you back to get the less time of making the tire change, and he comes out just in front of Blair Disley.
Yeah, so we've seen quite a few pit lane incidents here over these past couple races in FSR, and well, it can be costly. Just the slightest mishap. If you miss your pit box by an inch, you have to reverse it all the way back in there, and it's just going to cost you valuable seconds, especially if you're hoping to leapfrog someone or stay out and gain the advantage.
Yep, and Mikko Pulamainen was gaining a lot more speed in Mikkonen's draft, so I believe these two, followed by Reese, will be staying out for a lot longer. And who will be coming in next? We really don't know.
And look at Kirchhoff, he's crawled up to the back of Melling kind of unnoticed as Dennis Hurl stopped. And now Pedro Melling is going to feel the breath of the Atse Kirchhoff's twister. And he's not going to like it. He's going to have to try and hold it off for as long as possible. But I think eventually he may have to let Kirchhoff through. He's looking very quick at the moment. He's driving very aggressively as he bounces over those curbs of turn 4.
Yes, and especially starting at the back, he has fire in his eyes. He wants to climb the ranks of the positions very, very quickly, and gain as much points as he can for his championship battle. And I believe, these boys are in relatively close distance of each other, and De Rit is still chasing Morand. I don't think he's gaining.
No, he's kind of dropped off the back a bit now. He's around 0.9 seconds behind in the fastened speaker, and well, we'll see if he can make the pit stops. And if he just gets a bit too close to Champion Tour, I think that's where he could be losing a bit of time during that final corner. But look at Kirchhoff on Pedro Melin, right up the outside. I think it looked like seemingly Melin almost let him through there.
Yes, that it was kind of strange, battling for position. Melin pulls onto the outside and just raves Kirchhoff by. I don't know why that was.
And I see just thought he wanted to avoid trouble, didn't want any damage to the car. I think he knew he was probably going to lose anyway, so he did the right thing and moved in front of his teammate anyway after Dennis Ho overshot the pit box. So, well, we'll have to find out, but I guess that was a sensible choice there by Pedro Melin.
Yep, or maybe Melin was just wanting to conserve his highs so he can attempt to go longer. As we come on to lap 21 out of 70 laps here at Montreal.
It's a little battle at the front still then between Meekin and Pumalainen and Fredrik Nilsson. This is still raging on. There hasn't been any overtaking manoeuvres as of yet, but they're all relatively together with seconds. And Nilsson there.
And Patrick Dravitt has pulled into the pits.
So we'll see where he feeds back out then.
Here's for Marks, car comes up, goes down, and he's away. Where does he feed? He's sitting in 11th.
Yep, he's safely in front, there's no major traffic behind him. The only people behind him are Dennis Ho and Blair Disley, who are around 5 seconds clear in front of him, so...
Yep, and Disley still has to pit, and, well... Blair Disley has set the fastest first sector at 21.558.
Yep, so we said Lee Morris maybe one stopping and trying to take advantage, and right now he's looking to be doing that, and he hasn't stopped as of yet. As he's trying and latch onto the battle of this Nilsson, Puumalainen and Mikkonen fight.
And Bono Rees is in the pits, so Jaakko Mikkonen now takes the top spot.
So this is a bit weird by Bono. He might be on a two-stop, he's pitted relatively early. And I don't think he's going to feed out into any traffic.
He just comes out in front of Rasmus Tali.
Oh, yeah, Rasmus Tali, I beg your pardon. Just behind him, so... So Jari's in clean out, and he should be able to get his tyres up to optimum temperature without any major issues.
Yep, and now the top three cars, they're going to decide on when they're going to pit. Are they going to pit now, or are they going to pit a lap later?
This is going to be very interesting. You've got three very, very experienced racers here who want to try and obviously score the most points they can. And for Fredrik Nilsson to be within, literally, right now, half a second, 0.3 seconds within well, he's got to go for it, and I think the pit stops are really going to change this battle, depending on who pits in when and who gets the most out of it. But as of now, they go another lap without pitting.
Yep, and this gives Bono Rees the chance to catch up, and when they pit, they will relinquish the lead back to Bono.
Will be interesting.
And Kirchhoff hits the Wall of Champions.
So that's the second time he's kept it going, but he's lost a front wing, so Kirchhoff's gonna need to stop now. But that's the second time he's done that this race then. And he slams it into the side off the edge of the back end. Goes sideways on. Lucky there was no other damage to any of the wheels or anything, I think, really.
Yep, any slight contact with the wall will damage the suspension, and they will make these cars very hard to drive. As Fredrik Nilsson comes up pretty close to Puumalainen, and DeWitt has set the fastest first sector.
DeWitt goes past Ase Kirchhoff without
and Mikkonen pulls in. Mikkonen pulls into the pits.
So this is going to be crucial. Jaakko Mikkonen's in. Let's watch his stop. He stops on his pit box spot on, so Huis has the fastest lap at 1:15.735. Mikkonen's away. Will he get released into traffic? This will be key if he is. He's got Moran just in front, and I think he just might.
Yep, Moran gets past him.
So this could be crucial, because Moran isn't really one who's going to let Jaakko Mikkonen through anytime soon. So Mikkonen may be in a bit of trouble here, because he's not going to be able to get the outlap he wanted.
Yep, and this is probably going to ruin his chance of winning the race, because of slower traffic. You're on fresher tyres. You are probably half a second faster, and being stuck behind slower cars on old tyres is just going to ruin your outlap.
Oh, Moran with a big moment there. And Jaakko Mikkonen lucky to not make contact, but still couldn't put the move on him. I think he will into the chicane there. Moran will have no answer to the Precision's pace, although he will try and defend it and squeeze Mikkonen into the wall and break him, but Mikkonen's got the
literally
race
a drag race, and Moran kicked him.
Sorry there. Morgan Moran. That's a great bit of defending there. Again, most drivers would have backed off at that point if they saw a charge in position trying to go around the outside, but Moran held his ground very well and kept Mikkonen at bay for another lap.
Yep, and Bono Rees is on the gearbox of Lee Morris.
This will be interesting. These guys have raced in FSR for quite a while now. Lee Morris on his return, and he's Of course, this could be crucial as well. If Bono does get stuck behind Lee Morris, this is just going to give Frederick Nilsson and Pumalainen more time to try and eke away at that lead of Bono Hui. But with fastest lap time, it's looking too good at the moment for Pumalainen and Nilsson if they want to take the race win.
Lee Morris locks up. So, will Bono Reese gets the run down into the chicane? I believe he is. He's in the slipstream.
I think Lee Morris won't have any answer to that though. And look how close he is to Nilsson and Pumalainen already. I think Morris is just going to have to try and back off and let Huis go. And he does so. So Huis up into third position then after a good move on Lee Morris. But Morris ain't going to let him go. He stays to the slipstream.
No, he's not. He's saying, you want third position, I'm going to fight you for it.
Yeah, and he's following. I just don't think he quite has the pace to compete with position just yet.
Yep, and also don't forget Bono Reese is on fresh tyres. Lee Morris is still on old, possibly hard tyres. He's thinking of going for a one-stop maybe, or just an ordinary two-stop.
And Mikkonen is he's overtaken Morgan Moran, so he's got past him. He's in some clean air now for a bit. But he will a lot of time during being held up by Morgan Moran. Sorry, my mic unplugged there for a brief minute. But I'd say Kirchhoff, after a bit of trouble with his front wing, does the fastest after slamming his champion's wall. Does a 1:15, so he's looking quite good now, Kirchhoff. He's just going to try and keep the pace up but not let the pressure get to him like before and try and recuperate. He's 51 seconds off the lead and around 20 seconds off Lucas Euler, who's in P13 at the moment.
Yep, and I believe no one else is going to be pitting this time by. Pedro Mellum goes round for final chicane.
Oh! And now it's Frederick Nilsson with a major slide there. On the entrance to turn 3 it looked like. Or the exit. May have just been my lag, but no, he did slide it there. Across, I don't think he collected the wool, but he had a big slide. And, well, it's not going to help his tyres. They're already degrading. He may need to stop soon. But could the guys who've already pit stopped been on 2 stops and Nilsson and co be on a 1 stop? It's looking like, I mean, the engineers will be trying to work this one out. If the tyres are okay and the drivers think they're good, then they could possibly, I mean, they're in front of one, albeit not by a lot. Huis is still behind both of these guys. They both know how to defend, so, well, there's no reason why they don't. Shouldn't opt to go for a 1 stop.
Yep, and like I said before, Bono Reese from fresh tyres, he is absolutely flying. He has set the fastest third sector of 30.8, and I think I just saw John Eric Saxon look up going into the chicane.
So the running order then. Leads, who's 0.8 seconds of Frederick Nilsson. Huis in third, Lee Morris is in fourth on his return back. Rasmus Tali, the Estonian, is in fifth place in the Matt Court Racing, who's being hunted down by Jaakko Mikkonen and Morgan Morand is in seventh. John Eric Saxon and the other Ashero F1 is in P8. Pedro Mellum is 9 and Patrick De Witt is 10th. Just outside the top 10 at the moment is Dennis Hurl after overshooting the pit box. Blair Disley is in 12th and Lucas Euler 13th with Atse Kirchhoff 14th. And Atse Kirchhoff 13th, Euler 14th after just leaving the pits now. And Alan Fort in the remaining GT Omega is in P15.
Yep, and this is the list of retirements so far. Jim Paresis DNF'd after, what was it, spinning
yeah, he
into
hit the wall in
turn
exit
2.
Of turn 1, I believe.
Reino Room with suspension. I believe he hit the wall somewhere and just decided to call it a day because of strange difficulty. David Greco, after having a very good start, even being in second, got a DNF. Stefan Kanitz is the fourth driver for DNF, and Giuseppe Marconi in the faster than speed team was our first retirement on lap 1.
Back at the front then, Pumalainen and Nilsson haven't pitted yet. They may do this lap with Huis is slowly stalking them down. Nilsson's going to gradually start to see that yellow and white car of Bono Huis slowly slip into the view of his wing mirrors, and he's not going to like the sight, and he may have to change his strategy slightly. But we'll have to wait and see. They come towards the pit entrance now. Let's see if any of them make the decision to dive into the pit lane. And no, they don't.
No, they don't.
So I think they are actually opting for one-stop strategies here. But they've obviously tried to gain some time on Bono Huis, but well, Huis is still tucked behind them. He's 2 seconds off Pumalainen at the moment. But with Huis on much fresher tyres, he's surely going to gain the place back.
Yes, he is, and Lee Morris has a very nice gap between 5th place Jarkko Mikkonen, 5 seconds.
Yeah, and he's only around 3 seconds behind Huis. Now this could be interesting. If Bono does catch Fredrik Nilsson anytime soon, and they are on 1 stops, and he does end up getting held up for a bit, then Lee Morris could potentially latch onto the back of this battle and maybe even be in a fight for a podium here.
Yes, and Bono Huis is very, very close to Fredrik Nilsson now, and he gets a bad run into Casino Square, Fredrik Nilsson does. So Bono Huis is in the slipstream. Does he get the speed to make the move going into the chicane? He's proved that he can do it, and he's got the
See what the reigning world champion can do. He goes up the outside. It's a very risky move. He has to sweep across, and Nilsson has no chance to the reigning world Huis to back up to second. Pumalainen would have seen that in his mirrors, and I think now Fredrik Nilsson may take the decision to make a pit stop. So even though Bono Huis has passed Fredrik Nilsson, he's still managed to set the fastest lap of the race of a 1:15.4.
Yes, so because fresher tyres equals more grip, and because he knows where the grip is on these tyres, he's utilising these very fresh sets perfectly to gain on Fredrik Nilsson and past him into the chicane, which was fantastic. And Pumalainen is next on his hit list, so I believe his engineer for Pumalainen is telling him, watch out for Bono Huis.
Yeah, there's another fight on the track that has resumed, and that's Pedro Melim and Dennis Howell, the 2 Netrex drivers, and they're a lot closer now. Dennis Howell is in front at the moment, but Pedro Melim is gaining all the time. Of course, Dennis overshot the pit box, which would have lost him some time, but Melim is still hot on the tail of him at the moment. The 2 Netrex cars got to be the last thing you want as team boss. It's 2 drivers each other out, and hopefully that won't happen here, but anything can happen in FSR. That's a much used saying, but for good reason.
Yep,
and Mikko
and it
Pumalainen
usually
in the
does.
pits. So Pumalainen's in the pits. That provisionally puts Lee Morris in second and Mikkonen in third.
So there's Mikkonen going around turn 2, and Pumalainen just jumps Rasmus Tali, and Fredrik Nilsson jumps John-Eric Saxon.
So Nilsson made the pit stop, then he made the decision to make it work. Then after Huis passed him, it was a nice idea to try and leave from him, but again, precision just too quick for it to pay off. And after getting a bit wide there into turn 1 as he follows this Netrex battle, and I think he can interfere here, the remaining 2 Fast For You driver after David Greco retired after being second place man, and well, you have to say, if he was still in this race, that could have been a 4-car train with Pumalainen and co.
Yes, you've just got to feel sorry for someone who was running second, having very great, fantastic pace, having to be taken out like just getting a random DNF. We don't know what exactly happened. Probably a disconnect, or decide to just call it quits. And Dennis Hill gets a big lockup going into Casino Square. So
let's see if his teammate Pedro Melim can pick up a slipstream to exactly evenly match cars in engine power. Let's see if It's all down to the driver then between these two and who can outsmart each other. These two know each other's driving style. Of course, they're teammates, so they know how each other operate. They know how they will approach the track after doing hours and hours of testing here at Montreal. So they've just got to wait and try and outsmart each other. Well, very, very interesting to see, as right on the bumper of his teammate.
Yes, and going back a few moments, Rasmus Tali has re-entered the pits. Possibly some minor damage that he picked up on his front wing, and the boss told him to pit because he was going to be losing major downforce into the corners. So he's behind Patrick DeWitt, Rasmus Tali is, and he has Morgan Moran close behind.
Dennis Howe, Pedro Melino still dueling away for P10. Of course, it isn't just two teammates fighting. It is two teammates fighting over a point position for the team. So whoever ends up in 10th will get 1 point for the team. And I think they have to remember that as Melino opens up on the inside and he doesn't have the momentum. So I think that was just to clean his engine or get some nice clean air into the gearbox. See if he can nail him into turn 1. He's got a nice slip stream, a bit too far away.
Yes, too far away. He really, if he wants to get past Dennis Hill, he will really want to keep himself focused, hit the apexes right, and don't make any mistakes, because Blair Disley is sitting right behind these two, and any mistake will make them make him welcome.
Yeah, I'm sure Blair Disley, in the too fast for you, will quite happily jump up into the top 10 if the position's there and the door's open, because of course his teammate is out and it's a twister car as well, so we'll have to wait and see. But right now it's looking like the two NetRex Grand Prix have the closest battle on the track at the moment.
Good sweeping through the field, yes they do, and let's hope we don't get a repeat of Turkey 2010 with Red Bull Racing, Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel. Vettel closing the door on Mark Webber a bit too early and causing one of them to go out, and Frederick Nilsson is in the pits.
Right, so not sure what's happened there with Frederick Nilsson. That may have been just a scheduled second stop, been some damage somewhere, or he wanted to change something on the car, or he even changed tyre command. But look where he's fed out. He's fed out right behind Blair Disley, and then just in front of that is the two NetRex cars dueling away for P10. So things are about to get a little bit more spicy here in round 8 of the FSR World Championship, as Frederick Nilsson could see himself in a three-way battle for 10th place.
Yes, and the thing that's going to hurt Nilsson the most is that Blair Disley hasn't pitted yet, so fresh tyres versus old tyres, he's going to catch up to Disley very well, but passing is not going to be easy, and Mikko Pumalainen has set the fastest first sector.
And we're also over the halfway mark now, around 33 laps to go here in Montreal. Let's see what Nilsson can do then. He's in the slipstream of Blair Disley. He's got plenty of time on those new fresher tyres. I see the advantage he gets then as he goes into the chicane. And that's another clean pass for Frederick Nilsson. No problem there. Very clean, very tidy, no contact. And that's how overtaking should be done.
Yep, and there goes the second closest battle on track at the moment. Pedro Mellum still sitting behind Dennis Hill. Maybe some team orders has is forcing Mellum just to stay behind Hill for a moment or something, because it seems that Mellum is a bit more faster in the straight lines, but he just doesn't have the speed to catch up and make the pass.
Well, we'll have to see though. Of course, these two very evenly balanced cars. It's all down to setup. They're just going to differentiate the two, because obviously teammates don't have the same car and all that stuff. So, well, it's just going to be very interesting, because they're going to have to wait until what makes a mistake. And right, none of them are doing that. They're driving perfection races. Dennis Hell knows how to manage pressure. Of course, he's a world champion here in Formula Sim racing, so he knows what it's like to defend. He knows what it's like to have that pressure and how to handle it. Whereas Pedro Mellin may not have that experience under his belt, so may have to try and outsmart a previous world champion, which isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world.
Yep, and Mellin has set the fastest second sector, and he's closing up on Mikkonen. So this is going to be fantastic. So if he manages to get a very good run out of Casino Hairpin, he could possibly take second place away from Precision Motorsport.
Yeah, of course. So we'll have to see what happens then. Pumalainen in the Matt Corp versus Precision Powered Precision. So 2 Precision, it will be a drag race down that straight if they get that close next time. And so it'll be 2 very evenly balanced cars. Again, like the 2 NetRex Grand Prix, that will all be down to setup roughly and how the car handles. But Pumalainen, as you say, is on a charge. A 1:15.480 is the new fastest lap of the race by the Matt Corp racing driver.
Yep, he really wants second place and he wants it bad. So, yes, he's going to charge as hard as he can, but making sure that he does very few mistakes. As this very
Pedro
tight...
Mellin's past Dennis Howe. Sorry to interrupt that was into the final chicane, it looked like. And, well, no, what actually happened was Dennis Howe got too deep into the chicane, cut across the gravel, and that gave Pedro Mellin the open door to take 10th position.
Yep, Dennis Hill being smart and letting Pedro Mellin through because he cut the chicane and gained an advantage. And Blair Disley is still stuck behind Frederick Nilsson, and he has yet still to pit.
So this is all about to get very spicy. Nilsson is going to be all over the back of Blair Disley in a little while, and that'll be a very interesting battle to watch.
Yep, and I'd say Kirchhoff is still catching up, and hopefully he will get up and get back into what he believes will be his rightful place in the Grand Prix at the moment. Dennis Hill not giving up on Pedro Mellin, still chasing him for 9th place. And Rasmus Thal is closing up on Patrick DeWitt. So we got 2 fantastic battles about to we'll make that 3 fantastic battles about to explode with Mikko Pumalainen versus Jarkko Mikkonen, Patrick DeWitt versus Rasmus Thal, and the 2 NetRex cars of Dennis Hill and Pedro Mellin.
Yep, you got that spot on there. It's all about to get very tense, and of course we're over the halfway mark now, so we may get to the stage in around 10 to 15 laps or so where the guys will start making their second stops. And it looks like Lee Morris has been lapped apparently on my telemetry. I'm not sure. And
Jarkko Mikkonen has been passed by Pumalainen going into the chicane. So Mikkonen must have had a very bad exit coming out of Casino Square, and Pumalainen got the best run and just shot past him. Fantastic. We now have a Precision Motorsport sandwich with Matt Corp being the meat. So this is gonna get very tense.
Yeah, and of course as well, Matt Corp, Precision Power, so it's technically a Precision 1, 2, 3. Which, well, it couldn't really ask for a better result, really, if it stays like this. They're driving phenomenally well at the moment. And so back to Frederick Nilsson, who's trying to catch up with Dennis Ho. And of course Ho is trying to re-catch his teammate Pedro. But right now these 3 are a bit separated, around 2 seconds apart each. So, and of course Blair Disley in the background in the Too Fast for You Twister. So your top 10 at the moment then, it's squeezed at lead from Mikko Pumalainen. Then Jarkko Mikkonen in 3rd, Lee Morris up into 4th, a great strategy by him there.
after starting in 6th, I believe. So he's jumped up a couple of positions. Patrick de Wit is in 5th. Rasmus Tali is in 6th and all over the back of de Wit. So that will become the closest battle on track very soon. Morgan Moran is just behind them and Saxon is following. So this is the new closest battle on the track then. Tali and de Wit going at it for P5. And de Wit's a very aggressive driver. We've seen him.
And Dennis Hill is in the pits. So maybe a scheduled pit stop, I think.
Well, possible. We've got 29 laps left here. As that's a Kirchhoff that goes past now. That's a P12. He's 6 seconds away from Blair Disley. And then a further 2 seconds away from his teammate. So.
And don't forget, Blair Disley still has to pit. I don't think he's pitted once in this Grand Prix as of yet, so he must be going very, very long. He must be having hard tyres, so he's catching, I believe he's catching Frederick Nelson, but we don't know. And Rasmus Tali is still chasing Patrick de Wit down. He's gaining. And he's still not close enough to make the move. Maybe going down the front stretch. Does he? No, he's still too far away.
Oh, so this is about we're going to have to keep an eye on. The Estonian Mat Corp Rasmus Tali is going to be hounding fast and speeds Patrick de Wit. And Patrick de Wit's been really establishing himself this season as one of the top contenders. I mean, you know, he was pole position last race in Monaco. He had a good result there, and he's just been consistently up there now in the top 5. It seems to be like every race or so. So, hats off to de Wit. He's really establishing himself as a contender now.
Yep, but like I've said in the World Trophy race, anything can happen. So we don't want to jinx de Wit with the commentator's curse.
So it's all pretty quiet on track then, except for the Rasmus Tali and de Wit battle, which is more of a... Well, Mika Puumalainen does the fastest lap, a 1:15.144. So Puumalainen's still on the charge though, unbelievably. He's only 9 seconds away from Bono Huis. So we could see a very late twist in the tail if Puumalainen starts putting the pressure on.
Yes, and also Bono Huis's engineer will be telling him that Puumalainen is pushing and setting fastest laps, slowly catching up. So I believe his engineer wants to make sure that Bono Huis still has the gap that he needs to make the pit stop for his second time and keep the lead. So unless I'm very much mistaken, coming through the pits would take 20 seconds plus for 3 seconds to change all 4 tyres. Bono Huis comes out the final chicane to start the 44th lap here at Montreal.
So de Wit and Tali still going ahead. Tali's got a nice run now as he weaves behind Patrick de Wit. I don't think he's going to have a run now into that chicane. And then Saxon's gaining on Miranda a bit as well, so there might be a distant train of 4 slowly starting to form there from P5 to P9. As de Wit and Tali still go at it here through turn 1 and 2. Tali hot on the back of that red and black fastened speed car.
Yep, and Frederick Nelson is in right 10th place, and followed by Blair Disley. So what happened to Dennis Hill? What am I saying? Dennis Hill has made his pit stop, so now we just wait for what these boys are going to do. And Patrick de Wit is just being hounded down by Rasmus Tali.
And I think sooner or later, if Rasmus Tali can keep this pace up, Patrick de Wit's going to have to defend like a beaver defending a dam. So he's going to have to try and defend it as hard as he can for as long as he can, trying to keep that 5th position, but I'm sure he's more than capable of doing so, and this should make up for a very exciting climax of the Grand Prix. We have just around 25 laps left, I think. So, still all to play for here.
Yep, and Mikko Puumalainen is really catching up on Bono Reis. He's now taken another second off his lead gap. It's now down to 8.4.
Yeah, so he's run the gap down to just 8.4 seconds, and it's getting lower every time, and I think Kuis is going to have to realise this and step up the pace. But as Dennis Howe said last week in Monaco, Bono's one of those drivers that can control the pace of a Grand Prix. If he can see himself getting hounded, he will put the pedal down even further to make sure that that gap stays as it is now and increases again. And if he's pulling away, he'll make sure he does it even further. So he's one of those drivers which can control the pace of the Grand Prix. But right now, Mikko Puumalainen is trying to challenge that and bringing the gap down. It's down to 8.0 now.
Yep, and now Morgan Miranda's catching up to Rasmus Tully.
Alain Fort is had a brake failure. He went off at the casino hairpin, it looked like, and he just, it was a brake failure, and he's off into the gravel trap, and that's the end of his race, unfortunately. So that's 2 DNS then for GT Omega, not the way they wanted to end their World Championship weekend here, but they will look forward to Silverstone and everything that goes with that. The British Grand Prix, of course, is my home Grand Prix. You're commentating, so hopefully that will be an exciting race, and you can see that in 2 weeks' time here on FSRTV.com.
Yep, and Rasmus Tully is now hounding Patrick De Rit, but he needs to really watch out for Morgan Moran because he's right behind him, just 2 car lengths, and I think I just saw Rasmus Tully just get a big twitch, or maybe that was just my lag, but this is just going to be fantastic.
Morgan Moran is definitely waiting there, and Rasmus Tully's in a bit of a sandwich at the moment. He has to try and get past De Rit, and if he does, and he goes in half-heartedly for a move like we said earlier, and it doesn't pay off, I'm sure Morgan Moran will quite happily slip through and say thank you very much.
And Bono Reis is in the pits for his second stop.
So this could be pretty critical here, because Bono Reis has he's made the second stop, I think, because he's realised he's losing time. So it may be because of the tyres, man. He's pulled out right by his teammate Jaakko Mikkonen, but safely got out in front. But Mikkonen may have a bit of a run, but I think he'll safely just back off a bit, careful not to make contact or take each other out. But I think this is going to be vital now, though, because, well, I don't know, I just think Kuis has made a decision which could
ultimately change the end of the race, because he's obviously felt he was losing time because of the tyres, and made the second stop, which has given Puumalainen the lead briefly of around 3 seconds. So if Anna can keep the pace he was, then he made the pre until the second stop, which Bono Reis is hoping to leapfrog him on, I believe.
Yes, possibly. When was Bono Reis' last pit stop? I believe it was around lap 25, I think it was. So being on fresher tyres would help. And again, it's Puumalainen will be taking pole position, first place for the 48th lap here after starting on pole. Question is, when is he going to pit?
Well, Kuis makes the right decision on tyres, though. He just does the fastest lap of the race so far of 1:14.963. So first man to break that 1:14 barrier today. And, well, we'll see if he can regain his first place back off Puumalainen, and that should be a very interesting battle.
Yep, but don't forget the battle between Rasmus Tully and Patrick De Rit. It's getting quite tense now, as Tully is just 1 car length behind as Patrick De Rit goes over the little curb just before the right-hand kink, going into turns 5 and 6.
And Tully's got a nice run there in towards the entrance to Casino. They go. Tully may have a bit nice slipstream.
Yes, he does. Will he think about going up the inside? No, he doesn't. He's thinking of doing it on the main straight. Sorry, the final long straight. Does he get a good run? I believe he has. Lining in for the slipstream. He's picking up speed.
He's got a nice little gain there. It's a great
Will he get him?
sling.
Yes.
Rasmus Tali's only
almost- and
oh, he's completely missed.
and he's
hit the front wing.
He's lost his front wing.
Was that lag there or what? He's lost the back. Oh no!
And-
He's taken out Saxon. Is he? I'm not sure. Is someone gone crazy here? Right. So what happened was Tali opens up for the move, lags a bit, hits the barrier, and then rejoins the track without a back wing or a front wing, and slides and takes his own front wing off, and I think he almost takes out Saxon there. So carnage there for the Estonian of Rasmus Tali, and that's given Patrick de Witt some breathing space.
Yep, what happened was, reviewing the replay, Tali plans on going on the inside. De Witt pulls to the inside as well. I believe slight contact was made, making Tali just lose his braking point big time. And he just keeps on going straight on, with possibly the brakes hard on, lags into the pit wall. And I think he also had lost his rear ring, so suspension damage, I believe puncture. And he just loses control. John-Eric Saxon is trying to decide on which way he was wanting to go to try and pass him, but no rear ring, lack of downforce, and they collide. Thankfully not taking out John-Eric Saxon.
Yeah, I think there might have been an under investigation of the stewards if he had. But moving on then, and it's all gone quiet on the track now, as people get breathing space except for Morgan Morand, who's taken over Tali's place and now hounding Patrick de Witt. Lucky Morand didn't get caught up in that, actually.
I think Morand was too far enough away to avoid all the mayhem, so...
we have 13 runners left.
So, yeah, for Morgan Moran, 5th place would most likely be nice for him.
I'd say Kirchhoff being the last of the runners at the moment, but he's putting pressure on Blair Disley,
who still has to pit, I think. So, Blair Disley, the Australian, has gone 51 laps on the set of tyres, I believe. So, I think that's an amazing feat.
No, he already has pit. He's pitted, he did a 1:29. So I'm guessing it stopped. So, I think he's...
Okay, then,
no,
so
he may have pitted twice, actually, I'm not sure. It looks like, if you look at his lap times, I think he's done 2, really, so last. But look at Kirchhoff, goes right up the inside here on the entrance to the chicane, and that's a great move there for P12. Blair Disley had no chance, too fast U-twister wasn't as quick as say Kirchhoff's twister racing, and that's given Kirchhoff the place, and he now moves on towards Lucas Euler in the Go Speed Racing team. So Kirchhoff's still trying to claw his way back up. He's got plenty of time to do so.
Yep, the only man on track who can't rest for a bit is Patrick de Witt. Morgan Moran rapidly gaining up on him, but I think that's his normal line, going through the casino hairpin. Does he get the slipstream? I think he is. Yes, he is. He's rapidly gaining on de Witt.
He ducks out into the clean air.
Makes a dummy move, and Patrick de Witt pits.
So de Witt in the pit lane then, this is key. This is his second stop of the day, I believe.
Yep.
So let's watch the pit up, and he gets into his pit box cleanly.
Through goes John-Eric Saxon, Pedro Mellum, and Frederick Nilsson.
So will he come out in traffic? That's the question. Dennis, no. Dennis
yes, he does.
Does he?
Patrick de Witt comes out in traffic.
He comes out behind Frederick Nilsson and Dennis Howes, quite a way off, so he's in the middle. But I'd say Kirchhoff, one man who won't need to pit in any time soon, right on the back of Lucas Euler, and on a 1:14. Let's watch Kirchhoff up then, if he can pass the go speed of Euler. Right now he's looking good. As he's had a couple of unscheduled stops, he's slammed into Champion's Wall and lost his front wing, of course, if you remember. And that's really hurt his chances of a decent finish here, but he hasn't given up the fight yet. He's still carrying on and fighting like a real FSR warrior here, and he's trying to push Lucas Oil to the absolute limit that Ghost Speed can go to towards Casino Hairpin. As they Kirchhoff almost had a look up the inside, wasn't quite enough room. And so let's see. Oh, big
and he makes a mistake.
Big twitch there for the young Dutchman. And I think that's going to give Lucas Oiler a bit of breathing room now for around 10 or 20 seconds or so.
Yep, and Blair Disley is and Lucas Oiler pits. So it's now Artsy Kirchhoff versus Blair Disley. But Disley still has 2 or 3 car lengths from Kirchhoff. And now I guess the biggest battle on track is and Mikko Puumalainen is still in first, I think.
Yeah, he's actually 1.052 seconds clear of Bono Huis. So if Puumalainen's one stopping, the gap's down to 0.8 now. If Puumalainen's one stopping, he could really have a chance if he can hold up Bono Huis. Which isn't really likely, with Huis being on a much fresher set of tyres. But, of course, anything's possible. And driving a good race in the lead.
Yep, if Puumalainen can manage his tyres very nicely, I think he can make it to the end on these sets. But as you said, Bono Huis, fresh tyres, he's going to be eating up the time that Puumalainen has against him. And John-Eric Saxon gets a bit of a slide coming out of turn 2.
Puumalainen now with a big lock up, and Huis will have a little cheeky smile on his face because he knows he's doing the job right. He's just got to stay with Puumalainen and wait until he either dives into the pits or stake. Let's see if he dives into the pits this lap. No, he doesn't.
No,
so
he
Puumalainen confident he can hold Huis up for a bit more, but we'll have to wait and see. There's Pedro Melim on the back of Saxon. Look at this. This is in towards Casino for P7 and P6. And Melim getting very close and personal there to John-Eric Saxon's Aero F1.
Locking up the brakes, but does he get a good run coming out of Casino Hairpin? I think he does. Yes, he does. He did in the slipstream. Which way will he go?
Waiting to make sure. Melim dives up the inside, and that's a nice move there by Melim. And he's sweeped that one. Saxon had no chance. So Pedro Melim then up to P6 now in the NetRex Grand Prix.
But does John-Eric Saxon come back at him? No, he doesn't.
The gap though between Bono Huis and Mikko Puumalainen, which is 0.5 seconds now.
Yep, I believe Bono Huis is now in the slipstream. Is he going to be fast enough? Yes, he is. Does he go out inside? Yes, he does. Sorry, inside.
And Puumalainen tries to defend it. That's great defending.
Yes, very great defending. Does Bono Huis come back at him in turn 1? I think he no, he doesn't. He decides to play it safe, knowing that Puumalainen's tyres is going to break anytime soon, and he will need to pit.
That was supreme defending there by Puumalainen. Again, most of the drivers that lower down the field would have backed off if they saw a charging Bono Huis going in towards the inside of a chicane, but Puumalainen held his ground and held the position, and I don't think Huis really expected that.
Yep, and the second closest battle on the track is Patrick De Rit versus John-Eric Saxon. De Rit decided to have a look going into the final chicane, and Saxon defends perfectly, but coming out of turn 2, Patrick De Rit just gets a very small slide, very quick reactions.
Let's see if Bonaquist can nail it now though. P2, this is for the lead of the race. He touches the grass there. So Quist is getting a bit aggravated. Very, very aggressive driving. He breezes up to the back of the McCorp car, but too little too late, I think, this time round. As they go over the chicane and Quist bounces over the curbs. And you can see he's getting a bit too aggressive now, Bonaquist. The pressure may be starting to get to him. We'll have to wait and see. As he knows that every lap he stays behind Mikko Puumalan, he's losing valuable race time to people like Lee Morris behind, Jaakko Mikkonen and company like that, who could possibly push Quist out of a race win. So, well, it's all eyes on those two. And Saxon still trying to pull away from the vet. He's 0.8 seconds clear at the moment. In towards the final couple of corners. And again, De Vig gets very, very tetchy on the exit of Champions Wall.
This is fantastic racing here at Montreal. Shown in World Series and World Trophy, they were fantastic. Lots of action, and this World Championship has lots of action. And here comes Bono
now, and look at Quist. Dives up the outside. I think he's definitely got that one. There's nothing Puumalan can do against the raw pace of Bonaquist. And he was left defenceless that time round. So Bonaquist resumes the lead of the Grand Prix with 12 laps to go. Well, 11 laps to go.
Yep, Bonaquist makes a small lock up going into turn 1. The advantage of Bonaquist, he has the fresher tyres compared to Puumalanen's very old tyres, so Puumalanen will probably need to pit sometime soon, or if he's thinking about going to the very end. And look at, I'd say, Kirchhoff and Fredrik Nilsson and Dennis Hill all together going down the back straight.
Two teammates as well. They're going to watch each other's step if they trip over each other again. And look at Fredrik Nilsson up on Dennis Howe up the inside, and they almost go 3 abreast, but Kirchhoff thinks better of it and bides his time. And now bit of contact almost there as Nilsson flies past Dennis Howe for a points positioning. As for P9, Kirchhoff then for the final points position around the outside of turn 1. That's a daring move, and there's a bit of contact. Dennis Howe squeezes Kirchhoff wide. Kirchhoff manages to hold on though, and he's now going to try and do that work again as Fredrik Nilsson will now slip away into the distance.
Yep, and try and catch John-Eric Saxon, who's still in, Patrick DeWitt, who's still in the slipstream of John-Eric Saxon. And this is fantastic racing. This is fantastic racing at its best. And look at this, Blair Disley, just right behind Outside Kirchhoff, as he fights with Dennis Hill.
Yeah, and this could be key as well. If Kirchhoff messes up during an overtaking procedure, then Blair Disley would, I think, well, rather happily jump up a position and have a run at his...
and Patrick DeWitt, it's massive fight here at the final chicane. John-Eric Saxon defending very hard. But Patrick DeWitt takes 7th place.
It's been a long time coming, that one. These two have been in battle for quite a while. They were side by side through the chicane, as you said, and all the way down the main straight. But Patrick DeWitt just had that upper hand.
And now Dennis Hill locks up big time going into turn 1, but he manages to keep, I'd say, Kirchhoff behind him.
I don't know how he did that. Kirchhoff opens up the inside there. Oh no! They've both gone wide, and I think Blair Disley slipped through, and indeed he has. So Blair Disley has actually moved up into P11, and now will fancy his chances at the former world champion Dennis Howe.
Yes, I believe I'd say Kirchhoff was a bit optimistic going up on the inside of turn 3, and Dennis Hill shuts the door, taking his normal line, I think.
So let's see what happens then. These three very close together as Nilsson will just slip away slightly in the distance. Kirchhoff has to make up another place once again.
Blair Disley is on the back of Dennis Hill. Does he get the slipstream? Yes, he does. But also, I'd say Kirchhoff is getting the slipstream. I don't think Blair Disley is fast enough. No, he's not.
Disley on Howe just couldn't quite get the move on. So in towards turn 1 then, Dennis Hull leads that trio away for one more lap.
I'd say Kirchhoff really getting on the gearbox of Blair Disley. And side by, oh!
Kirchhoff's through. Not sure what happened there. I think Blair Disley just got a bit too wide, had a bit of opposite lock, and that let Kirchhoff through. No, actually, what happened was, Disley went a bit too wide. Luckily, they're not being able to scrape the barrier, and Kirchhoff just took the inside line and made the pass stick.
Yep. Also making small contact with Blair Disley, making him get unstable and go into the barriers. Thankfully, not at high speeds.
Yep, so the Kirchhoff and Dennis Howe battle resumes.
And there we go.
With just 8 laps remaining, and Kirchhoff gets past him. That's a supreme move there by Kirchhoff once again on that chicane. We said this would be a good overtaking spot. Plenty of room to slipstream. Kirchhoff had all the time in the world to get that twister car past the Netrex GP, and he's done so successfully. So Kirchhoff up into P10, and well, that's a point for him if he can keep it there at the moment, and a point for his teammate as well. Well, 2 points for his teammate, so...
Yes, but that pass was fantastic. It was like that he had DRS and Kurz. He absolutely blitzed Dennis Hill. But now it's Blair Disley on the back of Dennis Hill. Can he make the pass for 11th?
Only one way to find out with 7 laps remaining here in what has been
A brilliant Montreal Grand Prix, and one that will be remembered for quite a while here in FSR. And Blair Disley will fancy his chances. He doesn't want to leave it too late, though. He has to be the man of the moment. He has to capitalise on any opportunity given to him and be an opportunist. But we'll have to wait and see. It's for 11th position, and every lap he stays behind, that 10th position and final point is slowly slipping away from him.
Yep, that is very, very much right there, Liam. And he doesn't get a very good run, and I believe Lucas Euler is on a charge as well, wanting to catch up to Blair Disley and co. But,
yeah, and I'd say Kirchhoff just did the fastest lap of the race, so he's on a charge and obviously wants to try and catch his teammate. He's 5 seconds adrift from him at the moment, but we'll wait and see what happens. Saxon's still on DeVitt. He's around 0.7 seconds away on that one. Out front still, it's Bono Huis who leads.
Yep, followed by Mikko Pumalainen in second place, driving for Matt Corp, the sister
Look who's
team
in
of...
third, though. That's
Yes.
Lee Morris.
Who's in third position on his return back to FSR. And I guess it's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to do it, you'll never quite forget. And that's the case here, because in his debut back, after taking some time off, he's already back up inside the podium. So that's going to be a nice way to kickstart his return here to FSR. And of course, he will use that confidence and motivation if he does come third and bring that with him to his home Grand Prix in Silverstone. And I'm sure that'll be one of his favourite tracks, and he'll have a great run there if given the opportunity. But of course, you can watch that live in a couple of weeks here on psrtv.com, as we'll go back to the battle now with Blair Disley and Dennis Howe for P11, which is still raging on as we speak. Bono Huis does the fastest lap, a 1:14.402.
I have a feeling that Bono Huis will manage to get into the 1:13s by the end of the race. The way he's going.
He's looking very strong. You have to say, I mean, if you look at his previous lap times, he's eked out 3 seconds over Pumalainen. He's doing a 1:14.4, so he's going quicker every single, for the past 3 laps, he's gone quicker by like 1/10 of a second. So he really is charging. He doesn't want to just win the race, he wants to dominate the race. And with that kind of attitude comes that kind of performance that you get now. And let's see what Blair Disley's attitude is as he goes down the straight with Dennis Howe once again. He's got the slipstream. He opens up on the inside into the final chicane for P11. The Too Fast For You Twister versus the Netrex in a drag race. Blair Disley secures it. So up into P11 now for Blair Disley. And all that waiting eventually paid off for him.
Yep, but don't forget, Blair Disley will now be under pressure from Dennis Hill, and let's see if he can keep it for these remaining few laps. If he can, it will mean a good result for, I believe, for the Too Fast For You, I think. Hang on. Sorry, I'm getting my facts all messed up.
No, you're right. Yeah, it'll be a good result for the Too Fast For You team. Just outside the points as well. But anything can happen here in the final 5 laps. We saw that in the World Trophy and the World Series. So sometimes here in Montreal it comes down right to the very bittersweet end. And I think that's what could happen here. And, well, nothing's ruled out. It's not over until that checkered flag waves on that finishing line.
Yep, and this is the order as it is. Standings on lap 65 as Bono Rees comes down the final final stretch. He leads 4.2 seconds from Mikko Puumalainen. Lee Morris is third, followed by Jaakko Mikkonen. Morgan Moran is fifth in fifth. And
whoa! Sorry to interrupt you. Frederick Nilsson's out of the race. Sorry to interrupt you there. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, he spun it. That's the entrance to turn 1, and it looks like he stalled the engine. It's the entrance to turn 1, and he's just lost the back end, spun the car, and stalled the engine. So that's a very unfortunate event there for Frederick Nilsson. But that means that it's a very well earned point there for Blair Disley up in 10th, and that moves Atsej Kirchhoff up into P9.
Yep, and with 4 laps remaining, Dennis Hill will be attacking Blair Disley like nobody's business. Wanting to get a point from Montreal, being the only NetRex car and... not the only NetRex car, but Blair Disley would want to bring some points back for Too Fast For You, being the only car of his team remaining.
Yeah, and Pedro Melim, Dennis Hill's teammate, is up into P6. So he's had a great race after overtaking his teammate. He's got himself past De Vit and Saxon. And he's got himself up into a high point scoring position for the NetRex Grand Prix team. So 2 laps to go here in Montreal. And as Bono Ruiz goes round turn 2 now.
Utterly dominating this race after losing the lead for a few laps after he pitted. Puumalainen really holding his own for those laps that he led, and this is just, again, like I said, racing at its best on the highest split of Formula Sim racing.
I tell you what, this whole weekend here, both World Series, World Trophy and World Championship have produced nothing but the finest in sim racing, and this is a fine example of why Formula Sim Racing is the world's premier online racing league. There's just no other league like it, I don't think. We've just seen the quality of the racing here this weekend has been so good. There's just been such motivation from the guys. The driving's been brilliant, and it's just been a pleasure to commentate on.
Yep, same here, and as Bono Ruiz comes round to complete the 67th lap, starting 68th, he has set the fastest first sector. Atsej Kirchhoff, fastest second sector with a 22.9, and Bono Ruiz just dominating third, sector 3. And Lee Morris is just not that far ahead of Jaakko Mikkonen. And there's a nice, comfortable gap between 4th and 5th. And everyone's just nicely split out. So I don't think we'll be seeing any more passing unless someone makes a big mistake.
Yeah, but it's been a very, very good race here in Montreal. We optimised that it would be amazing and it would be a very good race, and it's lived up to all of our expectations. It's been thrills, spills, and well, as we said, nothing but the best here in Formula Sim Racing. And Patrick De Witt, hang on a minute, Patrick De Witt's all over the back of Pedro Mellin, so we could see a very late twist in the tail here.
Yes, I've been mincing my words. So it looks like we will be getting a last lap showdown here between 6th place Pedro Mellin and 7th Patrick De Witt in the faster than speed racing car. Let's see. Does he? No, he doesn't. He makes.
He's going to buy his side, bit of a lock-up.
Pedro Mellin locks
They're
up.
side by side now. Side by side. Mellin luckily cuts off the door and shuts it, but Patrick De Witt's got one hell of a slipstream as they head down this penultimate straight on a penultimate lap. De Witt has one chance now to try and take 6th position, I beg your pardon. Goes round the outside of the chicane, has to sweep it round, and he's gone
Eddie
wide.
locks up.
And that's not the way he wanted that to happen. So he will have one more chance before the end of the race to try and get past him. But it's Bono Huisen who's coming down the penultimate straight now for the final time, the 70th time, and it's going to take something spectacular to beat this young man. He has made 8 out of 8 then here this season so far in Formula Sim Racing and deserves every single one of them. Bono Huis is your Montreal race winner for 2011, and it couldn't have gone to a more deserving man.
Yep, and Pumalainen rounds out the top 2 for Precision, making it a sister team.
And look at De Witt.
1-2.
De Witt goes side by side with Mellin on the entrance to Casino Square. This is amazing. And it's just, he's gone a bit wide.
And I believe Pedro...
Mellin's gone wide.
Pedro Mellin,
De Witt's through.
yeah.
Mellin has to
But
try and
Pedro-
take a slipstream.
Yeah,
Oh, my word.
Pedro Mellin is in the slipstream.
This is
going to be
fantastic.
fantastic.
He's opened up. This is the final corner of the final lap. Pedro Mellin up the inside to retake 6th position. And there's no contact. De Witt goes across. He's kept it on. He's lost the front wing. And look at Saxon in the background. Could Saxon take it? Could
No, he
Saxon
can't. He's too far away.
What a finale. We've said it all along. It could come down. It's not over until the checkered flag falls. And, well, wow. What an amazing finish then to the Montreal Grand Prix. Lucas Euler and Dennis Herder almost had a bit of a conflict as well towards the end.
Yes.
And what a legendary bit of overtaking now by Pedro Mellin to retake the position. But it's congratulations to Bono Huis, Miko Pumalainen in 2nd, and Lee Morris who rounds out your podium on his first return back to FSR. So that's been a great race for him and the Ashera F1 team, and that will give them the confidence needed.
Yes, fantastic racing on Lee Morris's return back to FSR. The following cars are Jaakko Mäkinen in 4th place. 5th place goes to Morgan Morand after having a fantastic race. And Pedro Mellin in 6th place. Fantastic battles between his teammate Dennis Hurl and Patrick De Witt finishing in 7th place. John Eric Saxon, great racing by him for the Ashera F1, so more points for that team. Artsy Kirchhoff managing to take 9th place after starting at the back and having a few fantastic mistakes and battles. And the Australian Blair Disley takes 1 point from Montreal for Too Fast For You Trista Racing.
Well, I'll tell you what, it has been probably one of the most spectacular weekends in sim racing you could ever see. Been filled with thrills, spills, and everything a racing fan wants to see when they tune into a broadcast. So until next time, when we'll see you in Silverstone, from me and Michael Gray, it's goodbye, and hopefully we'll see you next week for round 9 of the Formula Sim Racing World Championship.
Have a good evening.